Okay, great. So welcome everybody to the online presentation. The topic that I will be presenting today is basically how to understand people from other cultures. Uh, Probably if you have traveled overseas or even here living in Canada, you might have found yourself in situations where um, something happened and you didn't quite get it. Why was this issue or something like that when you're talking to another people? So, and probably you have experienced that. So what I like to do now is maybe give you a minute and try to think of a situation where you probably may have some sort of cultural misunderstanding, anything that created a situation or something like that. So I'll give you a minute uh, for that, and then we'll reconnect. Okay. So try to think of a situation where you experience I would say, a cultural communication issue. Okay. So probably you have now recalled some of that experiences. Can I have a volunteer who maybe would like to share one of them, if that's okay? Hello.
I'll go. I can't. I'm trying to think of the specific things, but I've been facilitating for a while, and I am big on using idioms. So I have had, quite a few ESL learners and different cultures
Mhm.
that have been in my classroom, and I will use those idioms that, I'm trying to think of any specific ones, but it has created a bit of confusion. I will admit, so I have to be really careful with that, with different, because it's not all cultures use the same things, and so yeah, I have created quite a bit of confusion with that, with using those idioms, for sure.
Cool. Anybody else? Okay, yeah, that's very common. I mean, we tend to go through situations, and after it happens, you says, "What did just happen here? Why
Mhm.
did it happen?" Right? And many of the reasons for that is because we come from different cultures. Even though we live in Canada, maybe you were born here, but your parents came from another country, and you were raised with their cultures background. So that's one of the reasons why. So my goal in this presentation is to give you a couple of tips just to help you understand uh, how cultures operate and what are some of the things that you can take away that will help you get a better grip on that. But first of all, I mean, you're going to hear that there are tons of definition of cultures. That's understandable, right? But we need to understand that when it comes to those kind of situations, it's not the people, it's the culture, right? And culture is learned. You learn it in your house. It's passed to you from generation to generation, from your uncles, your parents, your friends, your grandmother. Normally, culture is made out of symbols like our flags, our food. It could be emblems that we use or that we see. Uh, Culture is also dynamic. It evolves sometimes because of popular culture. Like you may see Starbucks in every city or something like that. But just because the culture evolves on the surface doesn't mean deep down things are changing, right? And also it's integrated. If you look at the culture in China, Confucianism, for instance, is the whole mind, body, things that are integrated into one. And also culture is ethnocentric. And you probably not heard this term before, but what it means basically is that I look at things from the perspective of my culture. And normally my culture is better than everybody else. So that's what sometimes we get into these conflicts that No, but I'm better than you. No, it's that I'm evaluating things from the perspective of my eyes and my culture. Okay, so so next time when you are wondering what did just happen here, or maybe you see somebody calling you sir, or somebody that is saying, you know, being too respectful or being too shy or not looking you in the eyes for some reason, and you're not understanding why, well, I'm going to share with you a couple of tools that maybe can give you an idea of why things happen the way they do. And one of them is one created by a social psychologist from Holland by the name of Geer Hofstede. And he came up with what is called some cultural dimensions. And in those cultural dimensions, you can see how he analyzed every culture. But the beauty of what he did is that you can actually type a country here, and I'm going to type our country, Canada, and it's going to bring up some indicators, right? And it talks about power distance and a few of those. And I'm going to just give you a quick, I would say, description of power distance is how we look at power, if there is equality or inequality. And as you can see in Canada, we treat ourselves pretty much equally. So it's very low. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the recording. Just stop the recording. Okay, great. And